Hello and welcome back to another video. In this video, I wanted to talk about philosophical inquiry and this side of yoga called Jnana Yoga, or the yoga of knowledge, or this direct path of understanding your true nature. Now, Swami Vivekananda has classified Hinduism into four parts. I believe that there are, of course, a lot of other paths towards this attainment of what we call our true nature or self-realization. And by self-realization, I simply mean the fact that you are a soul, and this knowledge or this this certainty that you are a soul that is different from the body and mind. This knowledge is what I call self-realization. I do not know about anything about enlightenment, or I do not know anything about this unity experiences that the highest form of enlightenment is supposed to be, but I can simply point out towards your true nature, and that is what I am trying to do in this particular video and in my channel here. So if you're new here, I highly recommend you subscribe to my channel. In this channel I talk about art, about philosophy, its relation with each other. I talk about religion, and I also talk about self-discipline. So in this particular video I wanted to talk about why this yoga called the direct, which is also called the direct path towards self-realization, is very important, and why you should always be somehow having these tools ready with you all the time so that you can do any type of yoga, follow any path you like. So, for example, if you do not feel spiritual when you are meditating, if you do not feel this divinity that you want to feel when you meditate or when you concentrate, somehow you feel as if the mind is not getting in control, or somehow if you feel as if you cannot uh, you cannot meditate, then there are other paths that you can take. The path of devotion, the path of inquiry, the path of work, the path of there are so many paths, especially in Indian philosophy, and all the paths lead towards the same realization that is to be had here in this world. So the direct inquiry or to attain self-knowledge is a method in looking into this experience. This is called Jnana Yoga in the by the definition of Swami Vivekananda. And so this direct path towards self-knowledge strives and makes you look inwards directly into your experience and to see all that which is not you. Then what remains is the self, obviously the self. This is a very logical path, and it can certainly give you a glimpse of your true nature and lead you towards this reservoir of peace that is inside you, that you are born with, that is ever present in all of the experiences, that is always there. When you inquire into the nature of I, when you inquire into the nature of this experience that you call aliveness, when you put aside all of the concepts that come up in your mind, when you put aside for a moment out of the concepts, out of the apparently real sensations. And if you simply look at who is the experiencer or who is the observer, you will, for a moment, understand what I'm talking about here. This emptiness, this shunyata, is what is the goal of this direct inquiry into your nature. And there have been many yogis and many great saints who had preached about this method, this direct method into your experience. Sometimes this doesn't work. Sometimes your mind overwhelms you. Sometimes the knowledge of the mind is so overwhelming that you are not able to directly experience yourself as the capital self that you are. Sometimes you you may have an inclination towards devotion towards God. Sometimes you may have an inclination towards doing yoga, and I mean by yoga the physical asanas that we usually think yoga is. Sometimes you may feel as if you want to go to a temple or a mosque or a gurudwara or listen to a spiritual person speak. Sometimes you may enjoy spirituality that way. But as long as we are seeking this enlightenment, there are many paths that lead you towards understanding that you are detached from this whole experience of what you call you. By simply removing the ego for a while, putting aside the identity and the I-ness, you will suddenly glimpse the vastness of the soul, the purity of the soul. And the more pure your soul is, the more available it is somehow. If you are able to glimpse it over and over again, then be fortunate and enjoy it over and over again. And also sometimes you may completely forget about it. Sometimes it might just not happen. It is not clear somehow. This non-dual awareness that it is not clear somehow. At that time, you can try all the other different paths. You may be coming from a different religious background, a different spiritual background. You might have different inclinations towards different practices. You can do all of those. Regardless, the point is to be in the self, to be what you really are. All of the cultures, all of the religious goal is to be in yourself all the time. Sometimes you are meant to do something. It is not your karma to be doing this direct experiencing or doing this inquiry. You might be a student or you might be working as a professional somehow. You are meant to do that, perhaps. Maybe you are meant to go to a pilgrimage. And so, whatever it is, the peace that you are looking for is always inside you. It is like a man who starts walking and decides to take another different route back home. And he has this sense of direction from where he has started. Then he goes and goes and goes, walks. And he stops and he thinks that I should not return through the same path. I will return, take a 90-degree turn, then make another 90-degree turn at some point, and then be back home. The inner path is similar to that. You go, you walk, but you decide to somehow, using the sense or direction that your intuition tells you, somehow start back, go back to your home. And by simply questioning and looking at your experience, you can understand where your home is. By simply negating all that which you can experience, you can pervade